Now, since Charlottesville, the conversation at Austin City Hall has been focused on changing the names of streets named after members of the Confederacy. Today, a longtime resident of one of those roads is speaking out against the name change. Fox 7's Casey Claiborne live from City Hall with that. Casey.
Mike, there are several different ways a street name can be changed in this city. One way is property owners on the street can submit an application. There's a certain number of required signatures and there's fees involved with that way. A slightly easier way is a council member can bring the idea forward, and that's exactly what's happened here with Robert E. Lee Road and Jeff Davis Avenue. Someone took a can of spray paint to the street signs on Robert E. Lee Road over the weekend. As of Wednesday morning, the vandalism hadn't been cleaned up. Aside from the person who took it upon themselves to eradicate the street name, the reality is there's a process.
Well, it's time. It's time that we move past what was really a sad and awful history.
The Austin City Council is reacting to the violence in Charlottesville, Virginia by vowing to find new names for city streets associated with the Confederacy, like Robert E. Lee Road near Barton Springs Pool in Councilmember Ann Kitchen's District 5. During Tuesday's council work session, Kitchen announced her intent to submit an application for a change. She says it saves the community from having to bring it forward and dealing with fees and signatures. The next steps could take several months.
The potential names have to be vetted. There's all kinds of standards that relate to public safety. So there's a vetting of the name process. There's a community conversation and a public hearing process. There's a process for reaching out specifically to the people who own property on the affected roads.
According to the Austin History Center, Robert E. Lee Road was part of a trail established by the general as he traveled from Austin to West Texas. Originally named River Road, it was closed in the 1920s. Andrew Zilker recognized its historical significance and fought for it to be reopened. When it did reopen in 1940, it bore the name Robert E. Lee Road. Also during Tuesday's meeting, Councilmember Leslie Poole brought up the possibility of possibly also changing Jeff Davis Avenue in her district. According to the Austin History Center, this road was named in 1929, presumably after Confederate President Jefferson Davis.
I'm looking to hear from the residents who live on that street and then just in the general community what names they would like us to consider as replacement names. One name that has occurred to me to change the name of Jeff Davis Avenue would be to name it Sojourner Avenue or something along those lines.
History's history. You can't change history.
Larry O'Connor says he's lived on Jeff Davis Avenue for 28 years. Not a fan of changing the name.
Well, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. It's just a name. I mean, it's history. I mean, are you going to go in the phone book and find everybody that's named Jeff Davis and take them out of the phone book?
And it's not just the street signs that will have to be swapped out.
You have to change everything that has an address on it. You know, checkbooks, licenses, you know, all my mailing addresses.
The community is already throwing out suggestions to replace Robert E. Lee Road. There's an online movement to rename the street after Led Zeppelin frontman and former Austin resident Robert Plant. Councilmember Kitchen says Umlauf Way has been suggested, as well as naming the road after an Austin police officer killed in the line of duty on that road. Back to you.